Here is a bed of onions in a garden. How do onions grow? Here, a gardener is emptying a packet of onion seed into his hand. Onion seeds are black and small. Each seed is only 2 millimeters long and 1 millimeter broad. The seed should be sown in a shallow trench. This picture shows a single seed very much magnified. The outer skin is rough and wrinkled. Inside, the young onion plant is curled up. All the rest of the seed is full of food for the plant to feed upon. After 3 days, the baby plant inside the seed begins to grow. This growth is very much speeded up in the film. First comes out a hollow leaf with a root at the end of it. This root grows straight downwards. After a few days, the part just above the root tip begins to grow root hairs. Through these hairs, the onion draws moisture from the soil together with salts that the plant needs for making food. Now look at a single hair. Inside, it is full of liquid, which is circulating through the root to the plant. Supplied like this, the leaf has strength to pull itself out of the seed, but the tip remains inside and is still drawing food from the seed. The leaf now curls up into an elbow, which is strong enough to force its way through the surface of the ground. When it comes through, it looks like a little green loop. The leaf continues to pull itself out of the seed. After 12 days, the food in the seed has been used up, so the leaf tip is pulled away and comes through the surface of the soil. Now the plant depends entirely on the root for water and salts. At this stage, a second root grows. It comes from the base of a second leaf, which is growing inside the first leaf. This second leaf pushes out of the first one through a slit which appears just above the ground. A third leaf will push through the second at a slit a little higher up, and so the leaves appear. If you look at part of a leaf through a microscope, you will see tiny openings. Through these, the plant takes in gases from the air, and they can shut and open. More leaves appear. The plant sways backwards and forwards, influenced by the sun and the clouds. The outside leaf tube begins to thicken near the ground, here. This thickening is the beginning of the onion bulb. In this model, you can see how the onion bulb develops. The onion is shown cut lengthwise, so you can see the swollen bases of the leaves fitting one inside the other. As the outermost leaf base gets thicker, those inside thicken too. They are the bulb scales. Notice that the roots grow from the bases of the leaves. A healthy onion plant grows into a very large bulb by the end of the first year of its life. If the onions are to be used for food, the tops are bent over to stop them growing anymore. The onion bulbs will be lifted to be used for food, or they may be kept to be planted next year. If one of these onions is planted next spring, after a few days, roots begin to form at the base of each leaf in the bulb. This root growth you see here takes about 2 weeks. Above ground, leaves break out of the bulb and grow upwards. After the leaves are well grown, a pointed flower bud will appear at the end of a long stalk. This stalk grows so tall that it may be blown over and broken by the wind. Some people think the large bulge which grows at the base of the stem may strengthen it, so that it can bend before the wind, but is too strong to break. The flower head at the top is made up of a whole mass of little flower buds, covered by a protective skin. The skin breaks in 4 pieces and the flowers begin to open. Here is a whole row of onion plants in flower. If you look closely at one flower head, you can see the flowers beginning to open. This opening usually takes 7 days if the weather is fine. Now, at the end of 7 days, the outside of the head is covered with open flowers. We'll take one flower here, remove the petals, and look inside. 3 parts of the flower, called stamens, grow up the first day the flower opens, and another 3 grow up the next day, so there are 6 stamens in all, and they produce pollen. Here is a close view of one stamen, fully grown and opening to produce pollen, which is a very fine powder. Activity inside the stamen makes it sway about. In this picture are some grains of the pollen powder very much magnified. Now the flowers are open on the flower head, and insects come to gather the pollen on which they feed. As they move about, the insects carry pollen on their legs and bodies from one flower to another. Now look at another single flower. On the 3rd day, when all 6 stamens have grown up and produced pollen, another part of the flower, called the stigma, grows up in the middle of them. The stigma rubs against insects and picks up pollen from them. The end of the stigma, here, is covered with sugary liquid to which the pollen sticks and in which it grows. Here are pollen grains growing. Of course, this growth is much speeded up. Each grain puts out a tube which, as you can see in this larger magnification, is full of activity. Now look at this diagram of the flower to see what happens. Pollen grains from another flower have stuck on the sugary end of the stigma here. The grains grow down the stigma. At the base are the onion seeds. The pollen tubes enter the seeds and fertilize them. Of course, there are really 6 seeds round the base of the stigma, but only 2 show here. The fertilized seeds ripen inside the seed cases on the onion head. When the seeds are ripe, the cases open, and the little black seeds, 6 in each case, are ready to fall onto the ground. Each seed can grow into a new onion plant.